You've been holding yourself together longer than anyone realizes. Not loudly. Not in a way that earns praise or concern. But in the quiet way. The way where you still show up. Still respond kindly. Still carry responsibility. Even when something inside you feels thin, worn, and stretched past what it was ever meant to hold alone. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Not physical. Spiritual. You wake up already tired, not because you didn't rest, but because your soul hasn't felt safe enough to set anything down in a long time. You've been carrying questions with no clear answers. Prayers whispered so often they've started to feel heavy in your chest. Hope that hasn't disappeared, but has learned how to stay quiet. And the hardest part isn't that things are difficult. It's that you've been strong for so long that people assume you're fine. They don't see the nights you lie awake replaying conversations that never happened. They don't hear the thoughts you stop yourself from finishing because silence feels safer than disappointment. They don't know how much courage it takes for you to keep believing when nothing has confirmed that belief yet. But here's what matters. You're still here. And that alone tells a deeper story than you realize. What you're experiencing right now isn't chaos. It isn't punishment. It isn't a sign that you missed your moment or misunderstood your purpose. It's pressure before release. No one is meant to understand everything while they're inside the process. If you did, it wouldn't shape you. It would just pass through you. Growth never announces itself politely. It arrives as confusion. As endings you didn't ask for. As plans dissolving without explanation. As the uncomfortable realization that the life you were living no longer fits, but the next one hasn't revealed itself yet. That space you're standing in right now? That in between? Where nothing feels stable and everything feels unfinished. That space is not empty. It's active. It's doing work you can't see yet. You didn't break here. You bent. You adapted. You kept your heart open when closing it would have been easier. You chose kindness when bitterness had every reason to take over. You stayed honest when shortcuts tempted you. You chose truth even when comfort was available. And that matters more than you know. There are moments when it feels like everything you worked for is being quietly dismantled. Timelines falling apart. People drifting away without explanation. Doors closing mid-sentence. It feels unfair because you weren't careless. You tried. You showed up. You waited longer than you wanted to. But here's something few people talk about. Most clarity arrives after the breakthrough, not before it. Sometimes things don't fall apart. They fall out of the way. What you're walking through right now looks like delay. It feels like a setback. It feels like standing still while everyone else moves forward. But what's being prepared isn't fragile. And it can't be rushed. Some things require you to grow into the version of yourself that can hold them without losing yourself in the process. That's why your patience was tested instead of your strength. Why your heart was stretched instead of hardened. Why you had to sit with uncertainty instead of being handed instant answers. Because what's coming won't need force. It won't need constant defense. It won't require you to fight to keep it. The version of you from a year ago wouldn't have known how to receive it. There have been nights you stared at the ceiling wondering if relief would ever arrive. Mornings where hope felt quieter than it used to. Moments where you questioned whether you misunderstood the timing, or worse, your entire purpose. But sincere hearts aren't led this far just to be abandoned in the middle. Desires aren't awakened without intention. And this journey hasn't been for nothing. You are closer than it feels. The hardest seasons rarely end with fireworks. They end with subtle shifts. A conversation that changes how you see everything. An opportunity that appears without force. A sense of peace replacing anxiety. A door opening so quietly you almost miss it until you realize your life is moving again. This is where trust becomes real. Not the kind you talk about. The kind you practice when nothing makes sense. Trust without proof. Trust when evidence is thin. Trust when all you can say is, I don't see it, but I'm still here. That counts more than you know. There is something approaching your life that will make this waiting make sense. Not because the pain was necessary, but because you stayed open through it. And when it arrives, you won't chase it. You won't need to explain it. You won't need to justify why you deserve it. You'll recognize it because it will feel like peace. Like alignment. Like something settling into place rather than being forced. You didn't imagine the resistance. You didn't imagine the delay. And you didn't imagine that quiet inner knowing that something is about to change. That knowing is real. This isn't the end of your patience being tested. It's the beginning of your endurance being rewarded. And when things begin to work out, they won't do so modestly. They'll unfold in ways you couldn't have planned because your mind would have aimed lower than what was actually meant for you. This is why surrender matters. This is why timing matters. There's no need to rush anymore. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're becoming ready.